5 men tried to kill the Korean Mafia boss until a black waitress took down all 5 attackers like it was nothing. The first man went down before Sienna Cross even registered what she was doing, muscle memory taking over, her fist connecting with his throat in a strike that collapsed his windpipe. The second man lunged with a knife, and she disarmed him with a move she'd sworn she'd never use again, breaking his wrist with surgical precision. 3 more attackers circled the bleeding Korean man on the ground, and Sienna's body moved like water, flowing through combinations her hands remembered even though her mind had tried to forget. 15 seconds. That's all it took. 5 men unconscious or groaning on the rain-slicked pavement behind Jade Palace restaurant, and Sienna standing over them, breathing hard, knuckles split and bleeding. The man they'd been beating to death stared up at her with dark eyes wide with shock and something else. Recognition of violence. The kind only people who live in that world can truly see. Jesus Christ, Sienna whispered, reality crashing in. Her hands were shaking now, adrenaline fading into horror at what she'd just done, what she'd just revealed. She'd spent 3 years building a new life, hiding from her past, waitressing at diners and pretending she was just another girl trying to make rent. And in 15 seconds, she'd blown it all apart. The man coughed blood, trying to push himself upright. You? Who are you? Nobody. I'm nobody. Sienna backed away, panic clawing at her throat. I didn't see anything. You didn't see anything. We never met. Wait. He reached for her, but Sienna was already running, her server's apron still tied around her waist, her sensible work shoes slapping against wet concrete as she fled the scene. Behind her, she heard sirens, heard the man calling after her in Korean, but she didn't stop, couldn't stop, because if he found out who she really was, what she'd been, everything she'd built would come crashing down. What Sienna didn't know was that Lee Tae-hyun, heir to the most powerful Korean crime family in Los Angeles, had already memorized every detail of her face, and he never forgot a debt. 3 days later, Sienna was pouring coffee at Mel's Diner in Silver Lake, pretending her hands weren't still bruised, pretending she didn't jump every time the door chimed. She'd covered the damage with makeup and long sleeves, told her manager she'd fallen down her apartment stairs. Another lie to add to the collection. You okay, honey? Mel asked, the 60-year-old owner who'd given Sienna a job when no one else would. You've been jumpy since Monday. I'm fine. Just didn't sleep well. Sienna forced a smile and grabbed the coffee pot, moving to refill cups at the counter. Normal. She needed to be normal. Just another waitress with a bland smile and no past worth investigating. The door chimed. Sienna looked up reflexively and froze. Lee Tae-hyun stood in the doorway, looking completely different from the bleeding man in the alley. Now he was pristine, expensive charcoal suit tailored to perfection, dark hair styled back, moving with the kind of predatory grace that made everyone in the diner instinctively look away. But his eyes, those dark, intelligent eyes, were locked on Sienna with laser focus. Their gazes met across the diner, and Sienna saw the exact moment he confirmed it was her. Saw the slight curve of his lips, the way he moved directly toward the counter without breaking eye contact. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but her feet were rooted to the linoleum floor. Coffee, please, he said in perfect English, settling onto a stool directly in front of her. Up close, she could see the fading bruises on his jaw, the small cut above his eyebrow, evidence of the beating she'd interrupted. Black, no sugar. Sienna's hand trembled as she poured, but she kept her voice steady. Coming right up. You disappeared the other night, before I could thank you. His voice was low, meant only for her. That was rude. I don't know what you're talking about. She set the cup down, coffee sloshing slightly. Will that be all? No. He pulled out his phone, and Sienna's stomach dropped as he turned the screen toward her. Security camera footage, grainy but unmistakable, showing her taking down 5 men with brutal efficiency. I think we should talk, somewhere private. I'm working. Then I'll wait. He took a deliberate sip of coffee, making it clear he wasn't going anywhere. I have all day, all week if necessary, though I imagine your employer might wonder why a customer is staring at you for 8 hours straight. Sienna wanted to tell him to go to hell, wanted to call the cops, though that would be its own nightmare. Instead, she found herself saying, My break is in 20 minutes. There's a park 2 blocks east. Perfect, I'll be waiting. His smile was slight but genuine. And Sienna, thank you for saving my life, even if you did try to disappear afterward. He knew her name. Of course he knew her name. He'd probably known everything about her within hours of that night. Sienna's carefully constructed life was crumbling, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. The park was nearly empty on a Wednesday afternoon, just a few mothers with strollers and an old man feeding pigeons. Sienna sat on a bench, and Tae-hyun settled beside her, maintaining a respectful distance. Silent for a long moment, just watching the world move around them. "You're former military," he finally said. Not a question. "Special operations based on your technique. Navy? Marines?" Sienna's jaw tightened. "Does it matter?" "It matters because 5 men with knives and pipes couldn't land a single hit on you. It matters because you moved like you've killed before." He turned to face her fully. "It matters because I need to know who saved my life." "Why? So you can add me to your criminal empire?" "Thanks, but I'm not interested." A slight smile. "You know who I am, then. Lee Tae-hyun, heir to the Baekdu crew. Your family controls half of LA's Korean businesses, legitimate and otherwise." Sienna had done her research after that night, unable to help herself. "You were ambushed by the Red Pole Gang. Retaliation for a territory dispute in downtown." "You're well informed." "I'm careful. There's a difference." She stood, needing distance. "Look, I helped you because I was there. Wrong place, wrong time. That's all. I don't want money. I don't want a job. I don't want anything from you except to be left alone." "What if I said I can't do that?" Tae-hyun stood as well, and Sienna was reminded of how tall he was, how much presence he carried. "The men you fought, they survived, and they know someone interfered. They're looking for you." Fear spiked through her. How would they even know? "Because one of them had a dash cam, lower quality than my footage, but clear enough." His expression was grave. "Sienna, whether you like it or not, you're involved now. The Red Pole Gang doesn't forgive interference, and they have resources to find you. Then I'll disappear. I've done it before." "Have you?" He stepped closer, eyes searching her face. "Is that why you're waitressing under a name that doesn't match your social security number? Why you live in a cash-only apartment under the radar? You're already running from something. Adding a Korean gang to the list seems unwise." Sienna's blood ran cold. "You investigated me. I protect what's mine, and you saved my life, which makes you mine to protect." His voice was firm, brooking no argument. "I have a proposition. Work for me. Security. Training. Whatever capacity uses your skills. In exchange, I protect you from the Red Pole Gang and whoever else you're hiding from." "I don't work for criminals." "You don't work for anyone. You pour coffee and pretend you're not wasting a lifetime of training." He pulled out a business card, pressing it into her hand. "Think about it. But Sienna, they're coming. The question is whether you face them alone or with the most powerful organization in Koreatown backing you." He left her standing there, card burning in her palm like a brand, and despite every instinct telling her to run, Sienna pocketed the card and went back to work, knowing her decision was already made. The attack came 2 nights later. Sienna was walking home from her late shift, keys between her fingers, aware of her surroundings the way she'd been trained. She noticed the black sedan following her 3 blocks from her apartment. Noticed the way it slowed when she slowed, sped up when she sped up. She didn't go home. Instead, she led them toward the industrial district, empty warehouses and broken streetlights, places where screams wouldn't matter. If they wanted her, she'd choose the battleground. 4 men got out when she stopped in the shadow of an abandoned factory. Red Pole Gang, she could tell from the tattoos visible on their necks and hands. They spread out with professional efficiency, boxing her in. "You shouldn't have interfered," the leader said in accented English. "Now you pay the price." Sienna dropped her purse, rolled her shoulders. "Come on then, let's get this over with." They attacked together, which was smart, but Sienna had been fighting coordinated teams since she was 18, and muscle memory was a beautiful thing. She moved like water and struck like lightning. Broken noses, shattered knees, a dislocated jaw. She was winning, actually winning, until the fifth man appeared from the sedan's trunk. This one was different, bigger, trained, moving with the same deadly efficiency she possessed. Former military, she recognized immediately. He caught her kick, twisted, and suddenly Sienna was on the defensive, trading blows that actually hurt, that actually connected. She was going to lose. She realized it with crystalline clarity as his fist connected with her ribs, cracking at least two. Going to die in this shitty industrial lot because she'd been stupid enough to help a stranger. Then headlights flooded the space, and Taehyun's voice cut through the night, sharp and commanding in Korean. The big fighter hesitated, and that's all Sienna needed. She swept his legs, brought him down hard, and pressed her forearm against his throat until he stopped struggling. Taehyun's people, 5 men in dark suits, surrounded the Red Pole gang members. He approached Sienna, taking in her bleeding face, her labored breathing, the way she was cradling her ribs. "I had it under control," she gasped out. "Of course you did. That's why you're bleeding, and probably have broken ribs." He shrugged off his jacket, draping it around her shoulders. "Come on, let's get you patched up. I can take care of myself." "Sienna." His voice was gentle but firm. "Let me help. Please, you saved my life. Let me return the favor." She was too tired to argue, too hurt to run. So she let him guide her to his car, let his people handle the unconscious gang members, and tried not to think about how good his jacket smelled or how safe she felt for the first time in 3 years. Taehyun's penthouse was nothing like Sienna expected. She'd imagined ostentatious wealth, tacky displays of power. Instead, it was minimalist and beautiful. Clean lines, warm woods, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Art on the walls that looked original. Books everywhere. "Sit," he directed, pointing to a leather couch. "I'll get the first aid kit." "I'm getting blood on your furniture." "It's leather. It'll clean." He returned with a professional medical kit, far more extensive than anything a civilian should own. "Shirt off. I need to check your ribs." Sienna hesitated, then complied, wincing as she pulled the fabric over her head. Taehyun's expression didn't change as he took in the scars crisscrossing her torso. Bullet wounds, knife marks, the evidence of a violent past she'd tried to leave behind. His fingers were gentle as he probed her ribs, professional despite the intimacy. "2 cracked, maybe 3. I'll wrap them. You need to see a doctor." "No doctors, no hospitals, no paper trails." He paused, eyes meeting hers. "Who are you running from, Sienna?" "Does it matter?" "It does if they're coming for you the way the Red Pole gang just did." He continued, wrapping her ribs with efficient precision. "I can't protect you if I don't know the threat." Sienna was silent as he worked, warring with herself. 3 years of secrets, 3 years of hiding, and this man was asking her to spill everything. But he'd saved her life tonight. And there was something in his eyes. Not judgment, just curiosity and maybe concern. "I was Army, Special Forces. Did 3 tours in Afghanistan, 2 in Syria." The words came slowly, painfully. "My last mission went bad, really bad. We were supposed to extract a high-value target, but it was a setup. My entire team was killed, everyone except me." Taehyun's hands stilled on the bandage. "How did you survive?" "Because I made a deal with the devil. A local warlord offered me a choice. Work for him or die with my team. So I worked for him. For 6 months I did things—" Her voice cracked. "Things I can't take back. Horrible things, until I found a way to escape. And now? Now the Army thinks I'm a traitor who defected. The warlord wants me dead for escaping. And I'm just trying to survive day by day, pouring coffee and pretending I'm not waiting for someone to put a bullet in my head." Silence. Taehyun finished wrapping her ribs, then sat back on his heels. "That's why you use a false name. Why you live off the grid." "Yeah, and why I can't work for you. I'm radioactive, Taehyun. Anyone close to me ends up dead or worse." "Then it's good I'm already marked for death." He said it so matter-of-factly that Sienna almost laughed. "Sienna, I run a criminal organization. People want me dead every day of the week. Adding your enemies to the list doesn't change my risk calculation." "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly. You're former military, with a skill set most people can't imagine. You're on the run from multiple hostile entities. You're alone, scared, and running out of options. He moved to sit beside her on the couch. And I'm offering you a way out. Protection, purpose, a chance to use your skills for something other than survival. Why? Why would you do this for me? Because you saved my life without hesitation. Because you're wasting your potential pouring coffee. Because, he paused, something vulnerable flickering across his features. Because I recognize what it's like to be trapped in a life you never wanted, doing things you can't undo. And I think maybe we could help each other. Sienna studied him, this criminal air with his expensive suit and dangerous eyes, offering her something she'd stopped believing existed. Hope. What exactly would I be doing if I agreed? Security consulting, training my people, identifying weaknesses in our operations. Eventually, if you prove trustworthy, personal protection. He met her eyes. I'm in a war right now, Sienna. Multiple fronts. The Red Pole Gang, rival Korean families, organizations trying to move into our territory. I need someone with your skills, someone outside the traditional structure who can see threats others miss. And in exchange, I protect you. New identity, bulletproof this time. Resources to handle anyone who comes looking. And, he smiled slightly, a purpose. Something to fight for besides just surviving another day. It was insane, absolutely insane, trading one dangerous life for another. But Sienna was tired of running, tired of being alone, tired of pretending she was someone she wasn't. Okay, she heard herself say. Okay, I'll do it. But Tae-hyun, if this goes bad, if your people get hurt because of me, then we'll handle it together. He offered his hand. Welcome to the Baekdu crew, Sienna Cross. She took his hand, sealing her fate, and tried not to notice how right it felt. The next 6 months transformed Sienna's life completely. Tae-hyun set her up in a secure apartment in his building, 2 floors down from his penthouse, modern and comfortable, with security she'd helped design. He introduced her to his inner circle, and she assessed his entire operation with a tactical eye. Your people are loyal but poorly trained, she told him during her first formal briefing. Half your guards couldn't stop a determined teenager, let alone a coordinated attack. And your security protocols have more holes than Swiss cheese. His lieutenants bristled at the criticism, but Tae-hyun just nodded. Fix it. So she did. Sienna implemented new training programs, redesigned security procedures, identified vulnerabilities in their operations. She was brutal and exacting, pushing Tae-hyun's people harder than they'd ever been pushed. Some resented her. Most learned to respect her when they saw the results. And slowly, carefully, she began to know Tae-hyun himself. Not the heir, not the crime boss, but the man underneath. She learned he'd never wanted this life, that he'd been studying economics at UCLA when his father was killed, forced to abandon his education and take over the family business at 22, that he read philosophy and collected art and had a dry sense of humor that caught her off guard. Why did you stay? She asked one night, sharing late takeout in his office after a long strategy session. You clearly hate this. Why not walk away? Because 300 families depend on us for protection, for income, for survival. Because if I walk away, someone crueler takes over. Someone who doesn't care about the community, just profit. He set down his chopsticks. My father was brutal, but he believed in protecting our people. I can't abandon that legacy, even if I hate the methods. You're a good man stuck in a bad position. I'm a criminal trying to find redemption that doesn't exist. His smile was sad. We're quite a pair, aren't we? The soldier who made deals with devils and the heir who can't escape his father's shadow. They were. And somewhere in those late-night conversations, those shared moments of vulnerability, Sienna felt something shift. Began to see Tae-hyun not as an employer or even a friend, but as something more dangerous. She was falling for him, and that was the most reckless thing she'd done yet. The realization hit fully during a mission 3 months into her employment. The Red Pole Gang had kidnapped the daughter of one of Baekdu's allied families, a 14-year-old girl held for ransom. Tae-hyun wanted to negotiate. Sienna had a better idea. Let me get her, she said. Tactical extraction, in and out before they know what happened. Too dangerous. They'll be expecting retaliation. They'll be expecting an army. They won't be expecting one person. Sienna pulled up building schematics on the screen. I've done this 100 times. Give me 2 hours and I'll have her back. Sienna, Tae-hyun, trust me. This is what I was trained for. He studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Fine, but you take comms. And if anything goes wrong, you call for backup immediately. The extraction went perfectly. Sienna infiltrated the warehouse where they were holding the girl, neutralized 6 guards without killing any of them, Tae-hyun's one rule, and had the girl out in 90 minutes. Clean, professional, exactly like old times. Except when she returned to headquarters, Tae-hyun was waiting in the garage, and the moment he saw her, something in his carefully controlled expression cracked. He pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. Don't do that again, he said into her hair. Don't go into danger alone. I was losing my mind. Sienna pulled back, confused. Tae-hyun, this is my job. This is what you hired me for. I know, but... He cupped her face, thumbs brushing her cheekbones. Sienna, you're not just an employee anymore. You're God, you're everything. And the thought of losing you... She kissed him, didn't let him finish the sentence, just rose on her toes and pressed her lips to his. 3 months of tension and longing, finally breaking free. He responded immediately, arms wrapping around her waist, kissing her like she was air, and he was drowning. They broke apart, both breathing hard. This is a bad idea, Sienna whispered. Terrible idea, Tae-hyun agreed. You work for me. It's completely inappropriate. And dangerous. Relationships in this world are liabilities. Absolutely. He kissed her again, softer this time. Want to come upstairs? Continue this very bad, inappropriate, dangerous idea? Yes, Sienna said without hesitation. God, yes. They barely made it to his penthouse before hands were roaming, clothes being discarded. Tae-hyun lifted Sienna effortlessly, carrying her to his bedroom while she wrapped her legs around his waist. They made love with desperate intensity, 3 months of denial erupting into something consuming and perfect. Afterward, tangled in his sheets, Sienna traced the scars on Tae-hyun's chest, evidence of his own violent past. What happened here? She touched a particularly nasty one near his heart. Knife fight when I was 20. Before my father died, he was testing me, seeing if I was strong enough to lead. Tae-hyun's voice was flat. I almost wasn't. Your father sounds like he was a piece of work. He was brutal, believed strength came through pain, loyalty through fear. He made me into a weapon, then was surprised when I resented him for it. He pulled her closer. But he's gone now, and I'm trying to be different, build something better. You are different. You care about people, about doing things the right way, even when it's harder. I care about you. He kissed her forehead. More than is probably wise. Same. Sienna settled against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. Tae-hyun, what are we doing? Really? Honestly, I have no idea, but I don't want to stop. Me either. Even though she knew it was reckless, knew that loving him made her vulnerable in ways she'd sworn never to be again. But Sienna was tired of running, tired of denying herself connection because of fear. So she stayed, and for a few perfect months, they built something that felt almost normal. Working together during the day, falling into bed together at night, learning each other's bodies and souls with equal intensity. But peace was always temporary in their world. The threat came from an unexpected direction, not the Red Pole gang or rival families, but from Sienna's past. A man named Rashid Kahani, the warlord she'd worked for in Syria, had tracked her to Los Angeles. His message was delivered via a severed finger left on Tae-hyun's doorstep, along with a note in Arabic that Sienna had to translate. Return what belongs to me, or I'll take everything you love. He's here, Sienna said, staring at the finger with numb horror. In L.A., he found me. Who is this? Tae-hyun demanded, anger and fear warring in his expression. The warlord I told you about, the one I worked for. Her hands shook. Tae-hyun, he's not like the gangs you deal with. He's a different kind of monster. He has unlimited resources, no conscience, and he won't stop until I'm dead or back under his control. Then we kill him first. You can't. He has connections everywhere. Military, intelligence agencies, terrorist organizations. He's untouchable. Nothing's untouchable. Taehyun pulled her into his arms. Sienna, we face this together. You're not alone anymore. He'll kill you. He'll kill everyone close to me. That's what he does. Destroys everything until you have no choice but to come back. Tears streamed down her face. I should leave. Disappear before he hurts you. The hell you will. His grip tightened. You're not running anymore. We end this. Together. The war with Rashid Kahani was brutal and asymmetric. He attacked Baekdu operations, targeting civilians to draw Sienna out. Bombed a restaurant, killing 12. Kidnapped 2 of Taehyun's lieutenants and sent them back tortured but alive. Each attack was a message. Surrender or watch everyone die. Let me go to him, Sienna begged after the restaurant bombing. Let me end this before more people get hurt. No, we find another way. There is no other way. Taehyun, I know this man. He won't stop. The only thing he'll accept is me. Then we give him you. On our terms. Taehyun's eyes were hard, calculating. We set a trap. Make him think you're surrendering, but actually, we're walking him into an ambush. It was dangerous, possibly suicidal, but it was the only option they had. Sienna arranged a meeting in neutral territory, an abandoned factory in the industrial district. She'd come alone, unarmed, submit to Rashid's demands, except Taehyun's people would be positioned throughout the building, waiting for the signal. If this goes wrong, Sienna started the night before the meeting, it won't. But if it does, I need you to know. She took his hands. I love you. I didn't think I could love anyone after everything I've done, but you made me believe I could be more than my past. You are more. You're everything. He kissed her fiercely. And we're going to survive this. We're going to have a future. I promise. The meeting was set for midnight. Sienna walked into the abandoned factory alone, hands raised, dressed in simple clothes with no weapons. Rashid waited in the center of the space, older than she remembered, but still radiating menace. His men, at least 20 of them, surrounded the perimeter. Sienna, my lost property finally returns. His accent was thick, mocking. Did you think you could hide forever? I came back, like you wanted. Just let the others go. This is between us. Oh, but it's so much more than that now. You cost me time, money, reputation. Simply having you back isn't enough. He stepped closer. I'm going to kill your Korean lover slowly, make you watch. Then I'll burn his entire organization to the ground before we leave this city. That wasn't the deal. I don't make deals with property. He nodded to his men. Search her. Then we'll begin. 2 men approached, and that's when everything went wrong. One of them recognized something, maybe the way Sienna stood, maybe just instinct, and grabbed her arms, shouting a warning in Arabic. The ambush was blown. Gunfire erupted from all sides. Taehyun's people opening fire too early, Rashid's men returning fire, and Sienna trapped in the middle. She dropped low, using the concrete pillars for cover, unarmed but not helpless. Chaos. Pure chaos. Bodies falling, screams echoing, the smell of gunpowder thick in the air. Sienna moved through it like a ghost, taking weapons from fallen enemies, returning fire with deadly precision. She was back in Syria, back in the worst moments of her life, and it felt horribly familiar. She found Rashid trying to escape through a side entrance, tackled him from behind, and they went down hard. He was strong, skilled, and they fought with the viciousness of people who had nothing to lose. He got a knife, cut her arm deep. She broke his knee, heard him scream. Then Taehyun was there, gun trained on Rashid's head. Move and I'll paint the walls with your brain. Rashid laughed, blood bubbling from his lips. You think killing me ends this? I have brothers, cousins, an entire network. They'll hunt her forever. Then they can try. Taehyun's finger tightened on the trigger. But you won't be around to see it. The shot echoed through the factory. Rashid Kahani, the monster who'd haunted Sienna's nightmares for 3 years, slumped to the ground, finally dead. Sienna stared at the body, feeling nothing. No relief, no satisfaction. Just exhaustion and the knowledge that there would be others. There were always others. Come on, Taehyun said gently, pulling her up. Let's go home. The aftermath was complicated. Rashid's organization did come looking, but they found a united front. Big Du and their allied families, all protecting Sienna. After 3 more attacks failed, they retreated, deciding she wasn't worth the cost. The army investigation into Sienna's defection was quietly closed after Tai-hyun used his connections to leak evidence of the impossible situation she'd been in, the choices between survival and death. Her record was sealed, not cleared, but enough to stop active pursuit. And slowly, carefully, Sienna and Taehyun began building something real. Not just a relationship born from danger and proximity, but an actual future. I want to go legitimate, Taehyun told her 6 months after Rashid's death. They were in his penthouse watching the sun rise over LA. Transition the family operations into legal businesses. It'll take years, but I'm tired of the violence. Tired of always looking over my shoulder. What would you do if you went legitimate? Real estate development, using our capital to revitalize Koreatown, build affordable housing, create opportunities. His eyes lit up with genuine excitement. Actually help the community instead of just controlling it. That's a good dream. It's our dream. If you'll stay with me, help me build it. He turned to face her fully. Sienna, I know we've only been together a year. I know it's fast, but I want to marry you. Want to build a life that's about more than just survival. Sienna's breath caught. You're asking me to marry you? I'm asking you to take a chance on a former crime boss who's trying to be better, to build something good from all this violence and pain. He pulled out a ring, simple platinum band with a single diamond. Marry me, please. She should have said it was too fast, too crazy, too risky. But Sienna had spent her whole life calculating risks and playing it safe, and it had only led to loneliness and regret. So instead, she said, yes. God, yes. Let's build something beautiful. He slipped the ring on her finger, and they sealed it with a kiss as the sun painted the sky in golds and pinks. Two broken people who'd found each other in violence and chosen to build something else. Something better. The transition took 3 years. Tae-hyun systematically moved Baekdu operations toward legitimacy, investing in real estate, tech startups, community programs. He funded schools, clinics, job training centers, slowly transformed from crime boss to community leader, though some operations remained gray for protection purposes. Sienna became his partner in everything, security consultant officially, but really his strategic advisor, his conscience, his anchor. She trained private security firms, consulted on corporate protection, used her military skills in legal ways that let her sleep at night. They married in a small ceremony, just close family and trusted friends. Sienna wore a simple white dress, Tae-hyun wore a traditional hanbok, and they exchanged vows in English and Korean, promising to protect and cherish each other through whatever came next. You know, people will always see us a certain way, Sienna said during their first dance. The soldier and the criminal. They'll never forget what we were. Let them judge. We know the truth. He pulled her closer. We're survivors who found each other, who chose to be better. That's enough. 2 years after the wedding, they stood together at the opening of their community center, a massive facility in South Central LA, offering job training, education, childcare, medical services. Everything the neighborhood needed, but never had. We should give a speech, Tae-hyun said, watching the crowd gather. You give the speech. I'll stand menacingly in the background. Play to our strengths. Sienna smiled and he laughed, that sound that still made her heart skip. He did speak about community, opportunity, second chances, about how everyone deserves a path forward, no matter their past. The crowd applauded and Sienna watched him with fierce pride. This man who'd been born into violence and chosen something different, who'd taken his resources and used them for good. Afterward, a young black girl approached Sienna shyly. Are you really a soldier? My dad said you were in the army. I was, long time ago. That's so cool. I want to be in the military someday. But my teachers say girls like me don't do stuff like that. Sienna crouched to the girl's eye level. Listen to me. Girls like us can do anything. Be anything. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, you understand? The girl nodded, eyes wide with possibility. Sienna watched her run back to her parents, and something tight in her chest loosened. This was what all the pain had been for. The chance to give others the opportunities she'd never had. You're going to be an amazing mother someday. Taehyun said softly, coming up behind her. Sienna turned to face him. Is that your way of saying something? Maybe, if you're ready. I know we said we'd wait, but he shrugged, almost shy. I want a family with you. Want to raise kids who understand both worlds, who see past divisions, who know that their mother is the strongest person alive, and their father is trying his best to be worthy of her. You're already worthy, she kissed him softly. And yes, let's have a family. Let's build something that outlasts us. 5 years later, Sienna stood in their home. A beautiful house in Pasadena with a garden and a white picket fence, and every cliché of suburban normalcy, watching their 3-year-old daughter play. Jia Lee, named after Taehyun's mother, with his dark eyes and her fierce spirit. Taehyun appeared in the doorway, loosening his tie after a day at the office, his legitimate real estate development firm that now employed 200 people. How was your day? Good. The new security contract came through. We'll be training corporate teams for the next 6 months. Sienna moved into his arms easily, their bodies knowing each other's rhythms perfectly now. Jia asked about my scars again. What did you tell her? The truth. That I was a soldier, that I fought in wars, that I did things I'm not proud of, but that led me to her father. Sienna looked up at him. Was that the right call? She's so young. She deserves honesty. We both do. Our past made us who we are. He kissed her forehead. Besides, she should know her mother is a badass who can take down 5 men single-handedly. 7 now. I've been training. He laughed and Gia came running, demanding to be picked up. They stood there, the three of them, and Sienna marveled at the impossibility of it all. That a chance encounter in an alley, a moment of instinct and violence, had led to this. A family, a home, a life worth living. Sometimes late at night, Sienna still had nightmares, still saw Rashid's face, heard her teammates' screams, felt the weight of all her past sins. But Taehyun was always there, holding her through the darkness, reminding her that she was more than her worst moments. And sometimes when he had board meetings with former criminal associates, when the shadows of his past emerged, Sienna was there for him, reminding him how far he'd come, how much good he was doing, how proud she was of the man he'd become. They were imperfect people building an imperfect life, haunted by violence they could never fully escape. But they'd chosen each other, chosen to be better, chosen to create light from darkness. 10 years after that night in the alley, at a charity gala for their foundation, someone asked Sienna what advice she'd give her younger self. She thought about the scared soldier hiding in plain sight, pouring coffee and waiting to die. Thought about the moment she'd grabbed that pipe and charged into danger without thinking. And she smiled. I'd tell her that sometimes the most reckless thing you can do is exactly what you need. That saving someone's life might save your own. That love can grow even in the spaces between violence and fear. She looked at Taehyun across the room, their eyes meeting with the easy intimacy of a decade together. And that the person you least expect might be exactly who you've been waiting for. Because Sienna Cross had learned that sometimes the best stories start with 5 men in an alley and a split-second decision to intervene. That hidden skills aren't about violence, but about courage. That falling in love with the person you saved is less about rescue and more about recognition. Seeing in someone else the same battle scars, the same desire for redemption, the same hope for something better. She'd saved his life that night. But in all the ways that mattered, he'd saved hers too. And together they'd built something neither could have created alone. A family, a future, a love that transformed them both. The waitress and the mafia boss, the soldier and the heir, 2 people who'd done terrible things and chosen to become better. It wasn't a fairy tale. It was better than that. It was real.